Brett, the first game of the season, all set to go?
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're really looking forward to it. It's been a really long build-up, and when the split round of round one means you get really excited for the first couple of games, and 4 games in, I'm sure all the players and coaches watch with interest, and now we get our opportunity to get out and play and put into practice what we've been working on all pre-season.
Are you happy with your pre-season format?
Yeah, I am. I think we had a really planned and measured approach to the pre-season, and we had our workload was really intense and really high, and we didn't compromise that at all with the practice games early, and that's really what they were for us, practice games. Last game against Geelong, we sharpened up a little bit, and we played more like we probably want to play in season, and now we sharpen up again, and I expect another spike in our energy levels, and like every other team come round one.
You're yet to experience a round one win as coach, I believe, and the Bombers have won their last round one, the last 3 round one matches. It'd be nice to get off to a good start, not chasing your tail.
Yeah, it would be. I'm not that fact's not lost on me. But and one was an after the siren loss against Essendon too. So we'd certainly like to reverse that. But they've been the best starting teams the last 2 years, Essendon really. So we expect them to be fit and firing and ready to jump out of the block. So we've certainly got to match that and exceed it. And it's a challenge we're looking forward to.
It's the makings of a pretty intriguing rivalry. I mean, you're both very, very sort of hard, tough, but at the same time very fast-running teams.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, we've still got a lot to prove. I mean, I don't think we've proven that we're anywhere near the top teams yet. So we've got some work to do. And yet last year they proved that for the majority of the year they were up in the top 4. So, but this year's a new year. We'll play a slightly different brand, I suspect, in the way we go about it, and that's just based on some personnel changes and some maturity in the players that were playing in previous years. So, yeah, we're just looking forward to it, and we expect Essendon's best, and we're going to need to produce ours to beat them.
For the fans, what are your expectations this season?
Sorry?
For fans, what are your expectations?
Oh, I don't. Our expectations is that our expectations are we give a great contest, that we really work on the things that let us down last year. But in terms of what that result is, I can't tell you what 17 other teams are going to do. So if I knew exactly what 17 other teams were going to do, I could place us somewhere within that. Everyone's going to improve. We expect to improve as well. We've just got to make sure that we get all the things that we're working on right, and then we'll finish where we finish.
On Essendon under Bomber Thompson, are you expecting much of a change from them for this year?
Little tweaks here and there. I think Bomber's got some great success as a footy coach, and he knows the things that work for the teams he's coached. So I think there are some little idiosyncrasies that suit him, and they've worked for him. So we're going to have to counter that, and I think they'll take all the things they did last year really well and continue with those, and they've got some players that have Danaher's a year older, and I think is going to in time be along with Patton and Cameron and these guys, the new generation of gun key forwards. So I think the footy public are in for a great treat, and we've got our own young key forwards that are going to be really good players too. So I think we've got to expect the best of Essendon, and I'm sure they'll produce that Friday night.
Will Drew continue as stand-in skipper, Brett?
Yeah, Drew. Well, I mean, up until this point, we've said that Andrew was still pushing to play round one. I can confirm that we're not going to pick him. So that means that Drew will deputise and be standing captain until Andrew's back available to play.
You probably want to say this for Thursday, but can you give fans some idea as to who might debut for the club?
Yeah, we've got some. I mean, it's an interesting week because we've had so long to prepare for this game, but because it's a Friday night game, it's a Tuesday night, so our match committee will be after training to see how everyone gets through. So we've still got some big decisions to make on selection. We've got a number of defender types that are up for selection. What I can confirm, we'll elevate Joel Tippett off the rookie list. He's been in terrific form in the pre-season and taken some really big jobs on the best opposition key forwards. So he'll come up off the rookie list. And Dan Curry will definitely be in our squad. Where he probably hasn't transferred his training form into game form, but we're really looking for that third key forward slot at the moment, and Dan has been the one who's jumped up and grabbed that opportunity more than anyone else. So, and he also gives Goldstein ruck relief. So those two will definitely be in the squad, and then you put those two in with everyone else who's likely to play. You can see we've got some selection dilemmas ahead.
So with those two up, then where does that leave Majak? Does he give you that third tool?
Yeah, he does. The biggest problem we've had with Majak is just availability. He's had, he's played a bit in the pre-season, but his training has been really interrupted. So I'm loath to pick Majak this week just based on his lack of preparation. It's really frustrating because I really see him as a big part of our future, but we just need to get some continuity in him, and it's unfair to we threw him in the Hawthorn game just to get him a game, and he looked really underdone, and so he hasn't had continuity since then, so we're not going to throw him in this week.
You've got some really big key forwards, but there's going to be a veteran redhead who's going to be taking some of the limelight. Can you just say a few words a bit about Dustin Fletcher and just the man and the player?
Look, I've got the utmost respect for Dustin. The fact that he started playing before I did and he's still playing now makes me feel pretty ordinary and lacking in durability. But I think it's great that North Melbourne's playing Essendon too, because we've got two of the modern marvels in Harvey and Fletcher who just defy the laws of ageing, and they're still performing at a really high level. I'm sure Essendon will have their eye on Boomer Harvey, and we will definitely be having to be wary of Dustin Fletcher, because not only is he still playing and has broken Essendon's game record, he's still playing at a really high level and is still a really valuable player. He's not making up the numbers. He's a critical part of their defence, and we're going to have to make sure that we limit his influence. But on behalf of the North Melbourne Footy Club, I'd like to congratulate him. I think it's just been an unbelievable achievement and a terrific career, and to be honest, it doesn't look like ending anytime soon.
Was you tempting at all, Brad, to give Jack Ziebell a taste of the captaincy?
I was tempting to make him captain when we appointed Andrew Swallow too, but we put in place a plan that with Jack as a very young player, only 21 years of age at that stage, we put in place a plan to put Andrew Swallow in as captain with the support of Drew Petrie as the next viable option right at that point in time, and that if anything happened to Andrew, we'd have Drew to stand in, and we'd allow Jack to develop his leadership skills underneath the leadership of Swallow, Petrie and Harvey. So we don't see any need to deviate from that plan.
I know I've already said this, but just how excited are you going into this season and round one coming around? Footy's finally back.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting for us. We've been waiting for this for a long time. There's a spring in the players' step, and they want to get out and perform. They've trained for long enough. They want to get out and do what they do well, which is play. And we're no different to any other team round one, and coaches, players alike.
What do you think of the split round first up?
I think it's great. I think that we really need to, as a code, we needed to push our season a week forward. I've had my experience in the non-traditional football markets up in Queensland, and we just can't afford to have empty weeks where opposition or rival codes are attracting all the limelight. So to bring the season a week forward, I think is really important. And the 4 games were outstanding. So I think fans and supporters and sponsors alike would have enjoyed it. I certainly did.
But the MCG not being available on that first round, is that a downer for the competition, do you think?
It's a downer for potentially Melbourne, but it's not for Western Sydney, who hosted a marquee game. I think it's certainly not for the Gold Coast, who hosted a marquee game. So I think that gives those markets great coverage. And I'm confident the AFL and Cricket Australia or whatever the cricketing body who makes the decision with the MCG will get that sorted in due course.
And how close is Luke McDonald, Brad?
Yeah, he's one of those dilemmas. I mean, the tradition in round one, do you go with your experienced, hardened players that have been there and done that before? But then again, Luke stood up to every challenge that we put in front of him. So again, we've got to talk about that at match committee tonight and make those decisions. But it's going to be a tough one.
You missed the Geelong practice match. Was that just management?
Yeah. Just he'd done absolutely everything to that point, and probably done a bit more than we'd planned for him, just because he'd been so durable and passed every test. So, we pulled him back for that game, and he's cherry ripe, been training well for the last 2 weeks. So, we've got a choice between a really good quality young man coming through and some hardened veterans who have done the job for us before.
Just a bit of a left field one. I know you're at Brisbane at the time, but do you have any memories of that 1998 marshmallow game at all? You don't expect to be pelted with marshmallows if the Bombers win or anything like that?
Oh, hopefully. Look, our supporters are they love this game, and our club loves this game. So we look forward to it every year, and The Sheedy era produced some great events. I don't care what the Essendon supporters do to me as long as we walk away with a win.